Hello everybody, Luke Filmboss here, and today I'm going to be giving you my ranking of the top 10 best movies of 2021. Let's get into this. In 10th place is Sing 2 with an 86%. This film barely made it onto the list, not only because it just narrowly edged out Vivo for the number 10 spot, but because I was thinking about doing this ranking list before watching Sing 2 because I didn't think Sing 2 was going to make it into the top 10, to be honest. But then I watched it and it just made it. And I am glad. This movie is really good. Like, for the first half, maybe even like longer, like the first chunk of this film is just your average, basic, fun, animated family film. But it's organically building pieces to the plot to when you get to that finale, when you get to the big show. It just has so much emotional conclusion. It's just very well put together. You should watch Sing 2. It made it to number 10 this year. In 9th place is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings with an 87%. This is a very well-made film. It's very fun. I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite Marvel film, but this film just does everything right. It takes the Marvel formula and then puts like a nice sugar coating on it. Like, it makes it sweeter, it makes it tastier, and it has actually a little bit, I guess you would say this is more of a Marvel meal. Like, it tastes good, but it's actually got some substance to it, whereas something like Black Widow and some other Marvel films, it's just all fluff, it's all sugar, there's nothing there. Shang-Chi has a nice balance of like the Marvel formula, but then it actually has some really cool plot points, great characters, especially the villain, that just like trump a whole bunch of Marvel's other properties. And so it's not their best film ever, and yes, it does fall into some of that campy Marvel filmmaking, but the choreography and the fighting, the visual, the story, it's all done in a way that's above average for Marvel, and it makes it into the top 10 films of this year. It was very good. In 8th place is Luca with an 88%. This is just a charming, fun Pixar film. It doesn't take any huge risks in the storytelling department, and it's really not that big in scale, but it does so well to develop each of its characters, and it keeps it small so that you can feel big emotion in such a small story. It's very well done. There's a lot of good tension. Nothing's like over the top in this movie, but it's all done almost expertly well. Just the fact that it is a little bit generic in a sense does keep it from being like one of the greatest like movies of all time, like the greatest Pixar. It doesn't even make it to a 90, which is kind of where those films average. This film falls into that average Pixar area of where I usually rank them, but it's more impressive, I say, on Luca's part, because the way that it's filmed and the way it was made, there's not much wrong with it. It's just it doesn't get as deep as some of the other Pixar films, and that's kind of what held it down, but it's still really great. I would recommend it to everybody. It's a very rewatchable film. In 7th place is Dune with an 88%, just like Pixar's Luca. This one, though, I didn't enjoy it as much as Luca, but the quality and the filmmaking, the storytelling, this is just such a huge cinematic achievement. It's like Lord of the Rings level on like scale and production value, storytelling, all that stuff. I didn't enjoy it that much, although I did enjoy it very much so. But this is just a great film. Like, it definitely should go into the Oscars for some things, whether it's cinematography or Best Picture maybe, I don't know. I didn't think it's quite that good, but this film is just so well made that obviously it had to come into this top 10 somewhere, and it is in the lower half just because personally I did not enjoy it as much as something like Lord of the Rings or like even Pirates of the Caribbean. In 6th place is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad with an 89%. Now, I was always interested in seeing this movie. I love DC films. I am actually one of the few fans of David Ayer's Suicide Squad film, although I definitely wish we would have gotten his original cut. But there's still a lot that I love in that movie. And I thought Birds of Prey was very solid, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And James Gunn's Suicide Squad is in the same level as Birds of Prey. I like it slightly less, but the actual quality of the film I think is slightly better. There's just so much production value in this film, and the gore and the profanity is a little bit over the top, so I would not recommend this to very many people. But even amongst all the gore and the profanity, this movie really does well with its characters to get you emotionally invested in quite a few of them. And it's got some surprisingly, pretty good messages that are, portrayed in the third act. And I really love that third act. It's really good. In fifth place is Spider-Man No Way Home with a 90%. This is a film that does so much good. It has such amazing fan service. It does exactly what everybody who went to see this movie wanted it to do. But on the quality level, this movie needed more time. The visual effects just aren't as good as they should have been. Some of them pale even in comparison to the Raimi films like Spider-Man 3. And just some of the story elements could have taken more time, like the whole idea of Doctor Strange casting the spell in the first place that caused everything to happen. It's just all a little bit too unthought out. I don't know where the mind of the scriptwriters were. It just seems a little too silly and out of character. And like I said, some of the special effects, while some of them were really good, some of them could have been a lot better. But the ending of this film, everything that they did, is definitely worth going to see it. It's amazing that we could even get a movie like this, very similar to another movie that's on this list, only in a different form. But this is definitely kind of like the endgame film of the entire Spider-Man legacy up to this point. And I would say if you are a fan of Sam Raimi's films, Mark Webb's films, John Watts, the MCU, all of these Spider-Mans, this is the end game for them. It is great. Go check it out. In fourth place is In the Heights with a 91%. In the Heights, I just had a blast with this film. It has such good emotional resonance with me, with all the characters. The songs are so catchy. This is just a blast. I talked about this very in depth in my my other ranking of the 2021 films, and so you can check that out. But yeah, In the Heights, it's just a great film. It's so fun. I could rewatch it multiple times. I loved it. In third place is Disney's Encanto with a 93%. This is another film that has music written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, just like In the Heights did. And the music in this movie is really good. We Don't Talk About Bruno is probably my favorite. It's so catchy. And there's a lot of songs, most of these songs are very emotional and get deep into what the characters are feeling, and I just love that. It helped develop the characters. The story was very emotional as well. Pretty much this movie is just a full-on emotional roller coaster. Happy, sad, funny, all of these things. There's even moments where you get angry at some of the characters. It's very well. I don't know how to praise this movie more than I already do. I will defend this movie as one of the best Disney movies that's at least come out since 2010 with Tangled. That's one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. I'd say Encanto I enjoyed as much as Frozen and Moana, and quality level, it's kind of right between those two films. It's on those level, and we just need to be seeing more of that, because films like Raya and the Last Dragon, Big Hero 6, and the sequels like Ralph Breaks the Internet and Frozen 2, they're not bad, but they're just not nearly as good as what we should be seeing from Disney Animation Studios, and they're just kind of mediocre or disappointing. They have really great things, and then they just end on a disappointing, bland note, like Frozen 2. But Encanto, I hope, is a reflection of what we're going to be seeing going forward, because this is something on the same level as Moana, Frozen, Tangled, and those older Disney Renaissance films. And I am all for more creativity like Encanto. It's very good on Disney Plus. Go check it out. Watch this movie. You're probably gonna want to watch it again. In second place is West Side Story, directed by Steven Spielberg, with a 93%. This makes it to the number 2 spot on my list because this movie is incredible. It's a remake, so obviously it took inspiration from the original heavily. I still have not seen the original, but this movie made me want to see it because, dang, Steven Spielberg did an amazing, phenomenal job with this movie. The cinematography, I think, should win the Oscar for this year, although I haven't really watched too many of the other films that I guess would be going for the Oscars. But I don't think many films this year, at least, are gonna top like this film. Everything, the sets, just the angles, the lighting, everything, it's visually filmed to perfection. And then the story is just great. The actors do an amazing job. It's very emotional, very serious, but yet it can be fun at times. It's just, this is why I go to the movies. This is real, true cinema. Spider-Man No Way Home is one of those examples of the fan-based films that are just so much fun. Like, you just love them because they're those blockbuster films that get you excited and get the nostalgia in there. But then you have timeless stories like West Side Story, timeless movies that are just good, not because they have these huge visual effects or these huge battles that take place on the Statue of Liberty with multiple villains that have superpowers and they're beating each other up. No, this movie is just great because it takes a story and it takes time to perfect every little detail and draw out every bit of emotion that it can from you. And it's just really interesting to look at without having to be overcome with explosions and lightning bolts and flashes. It's just simple things like the side of a building, but this movie makes it seem interesting. In first place is Zack Snyder's Justice League with a 96.5%. This movie is incredible. This is a true cinematic masterpiece, even better than West Side Story. This is like on the level of Lord of the Rings, like the best of the Lord of the Rings. I'd say it's even on a level slightly above those films. Like, this movie is almost, in my opinion, perfect. Yes, there are some things that I think could have been cut out or trimmed down. Like, it didn't need to be this long, but because it's kind of like a director's cut, because once again, like, a lot of people know the story that this film didn't really get to see the light of day until now. It should have been released in 2017 and then that got botched. But now we get it, and so it's more of an extended cut. And it was also streaming exclusive, so I don't think it qualifies for like the Oscars. Although this movie definitely, I think, in terms of cinematography, is on the same level as West Side Story. So had it qualified for the Oscars, I think this would have given that film a run for its money. But West Side Story obviously now is the film that should get that Oscar. But Zack Snyder's Justice League is just an amazing cinematic masterpiece. Each character gets so much attention. You get time, like, in the first half to develop each of the characters. It's kind of like somewhat of an origin, not really origin, but like you're getting to know your characters before they actually like unite and become the Justice League. And there's just so much great action and characters in this movie that I don't know what to say. I could talk about this movie for a long time. I could rabble on, but because of time, I just want to say Zack Snyder's Justice League, personally one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely the best movie and my favorite movie of the year. Go check it out. It's definitely worth watching. If you don't like 4-hour movies, maybe break it down into different like segments on different days. Like, I think it's even split into like 7 parts. So yeah, you can watch this movie. It never stopped entertaining me. It might have been a little bit long, and so if you don't have time to watch it, just do it in pieces because it's entertaining as it is. It's amazing. Thanks everybody for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Film Boss. Bye.